Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler vlog, the Let's Talk to Cutler show. It's already Thursday. It's June the 23rd. When I tell y'all this month is moving so quickly, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining one bit. It's moving, and so are we. We're moving. We're dynamic. We're growing. We're progressing. We're progressing. We're doing all of those wonderful things. So I want to tell you this. If you're just stopping by for the first time, do me a favor. Give me 1,800 seconds. That's all I need. I need you all to hit your brakes tonight, pull on into the station. We're going to be recharged, renewed, reinvigorated, all that sort of stuff. This station is about, this channel is about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's about positivity. We hear enough negative stuff every day, every day, all week, every week, all year, every year. So we hear enough negative stuff. This station is about, this channel is about positivity. We look at, how do we become better? How can I show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today? You all, listen, those of you who have been with me, you all know the spiel. Y'all can probably say it better than I do. This is about seeing how I can show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today. It doesn't mean that today was a failure, flop, or any of that kind of stuff. It is so true, you all. That's how I try to live every day. I honestly try to live every day saying, what can I do to make myself better today than I was yesterday? Is there anything that I learned yesterday that I can apply today? It does me no good. I'm gonna get to the topic for the night, but think about it, you all. It does us no good to live this wonderful life, day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, year in and year out, and we never learn. We never learn. Think about that. But what are we doing here? We're actively participating in the learning processes of our lives. We're actively participating in the learning processes of our lives. That means we're not taking the day for granted. We're not taking the week for granted, but we're trying to see, I want to live the best life. People talk about, oh, live your best life. Living your best life is making sure that you learn from the day before, from the days before. All right, so that's what this channel is all about. It's making sure that we learn from the days before so that we can show up a little bit better the next day. Learning from the days before so that we can be better for the days to come. That's it. We may have to coin a phrase, you all. Learning from the days before so that we can become a little bit better for the days to come. Somebody write that down, send it to me. Like I didn't just say it. But I'm telling you that's what we're talking about here. And we do it in such an unintimidating way. I hope we do it like that. I hope we do it in such a way of sharing and a way of caring. So if this is your first time stopping by this channel, do me a favor, just hit your brakes. Please go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on the like button. The like button and that notification bell, it just lets you know whenever I've gone live, whenever I've uploaded new content. So make sure that you do that. And as you come to the chat this evening, for goodness sakes, why don't you just go ahead and do a thumbs up, because we're going to talk about how to get out of your own way. What a topic. What a topic. How to get out of your own way. That's what we're going to talk about this evening. But before I do, I have to acknowledge the people who just jumped into the chat before me, the people who beat me to the chat. I call them the LTTC VIPs. Let's see who they are. Hang on. They are my good friend Sonia Bailey, who says good evening to everybody. Well, good evening to you, my friend Sonia. Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you. Sonia says good evening. And then let's see who came on in next. Annie Cutler says, let's ride. That's right. We're riding. We're on this highway of life. We're riding at our own pace, not too fast, not too slow, but we're riding just right. And we're riding and we're picking up passengers. We're going to this place that is called better. And we are committed not to get there by ourselves. When I show up, I want to look on my left and I want to look to my right and make sure that I help somebody else arrive at this space that's called better. All right. And then let's see who came in third, who hopped into the chat third. It looks like it was T. Cutler who says, good evening, LTTC family. Well, T. Cutler, good evening to you as well. I hope everybody is doing fine. I hope you're all doing fine. We're just here for 1,800 seconds. So tell people, come on, let's talk to Cutler. We're not here very long. I try to be respectful of time, but I do want to talk this evening, you all, about how to get out of your own way. I've been talking to people about some of their goals in life. I've been talking to people about some of the things that they want to do. And I often think about people who have lived a long time. I think about people who have lived successful lives. You know, successful, and successful can be objective. It really can. And I'm not coming up with a magical formula for what makes success or what equals success, but I think about people who, from my perspective, have lived successful lives. Think about people who have lived productive lives. And then I think about people who perhaps haven't done everything that they want to do, who didn't necessarily achieve everything that they want to achieve, who didn't go everywhere they wanted to go, people who may probably have said, well, you know what? I think I'm my biggest enemy. I want to say to this, sometimes we've just got to get out of our own way. I think about people who talk about their lives and they look back at some of their regrets. They look at some of their goals and they realize that I've missed the mark. I haven't done everything quite that I want to do. And sometimes there's this common thread, this common theme. And that common theme seems to sometimes be the only person who's holding me back is me. Who's holding me back? Me. Me, myself, and mine. I am holding myself back. My fears, my anxieties, my uncertainties, my insecurities. Many times we are our biggest sabotagers, or that word saboteurs. We hold ourselves back, you all. And just as I've tried to offer practical examples for how to avoid that, I want to do that this evening. Cutler, how do I get out of my own way? How do I get out of my head? How do I not create this stumbling block and I stumble over myself? I want to share pieces of my life. I want to share some literature that I've read and some of my observations. Pieces of my life, some literature that I've read, and some observations that I've made. One of the things that works totally for me in terms of how to get out of your own way, learn how to talk back to yourself. I know sometimes people say, you talk to yourself. I do. I listen to myself and I talk to myself and I evaluate what I'm saying to myself. So I'm just offering you all this as a piece of advice for what I do. Learn how to talk back to yourself. When there's no one else around and you find yourself talking, learn how to respond. And ask yourself, what did you just say? If nobody's around and you're talking, that means you're talking to yourself. Ask yourself, what did you just say? And then evaluate what you said to yourself about yourself. So when I say learn how to talk back to yourself, this is what I mean. Learn how to evaluate what you say to yourself about yourself. And when you hear something negative, you learn how to confront it. Learn how to do what we call flip the narrative on yourself. Learn how to turn those negative comments into positive feedback. Learn how to turn those negative sayings into things that build you up, things that make you, things that shape you, things that mold you. Do you have any examples, Cutler? You all know I do. Because we can talk so negatively to ourselves and we can talk so negatively about ourselves until if someone else was standing around, they would say, why do you talk to yourself like that? Things that we want to do. And we say things like, or maybe when we were younger, we would say things like, you're not old enough. And this is you talking to yourself, you're not old enough. Learn how to take that statement and flip it into a positive statement, something that says, well, you know what? You have extra years to master your craft. That's just one example. Every time you have a negative thing to say to yourself about yourself, evaluate what you just said. Ask yourself, what did you just say to yourself? and see if you can't turn it into something positive. Sometimes we tell ourselves, you don't know how to, and fill in the blank, whatever the blank is, you don't know how to XYZ. What is a positive statement? When you say something like that, you can say to yourself, you have lots of resources available to help you learn. Instead of constantly telling yourself what you don't know how to do, tell yourself that you have lots of resources available to help you learn. Learn how to turn the negative into a positive. We hear people say that, but we don't get practical examples of what it means, what it sounds like, what it looks like. Stop talking negatively to yourself. Turn it into a positive. Sometimes we say things like, you will never be able to. Fill in the blank with that. You will never be able to do this, or you will never be able to do that. You all, let's stop talking negatively to ourselves about ourselves. Take a statement like that and say, you know what? You're in a great position to weigh the pros and the cons. Maybe some of us just ought to write down all of the negative things that we say to ourselves about ourselves. And we'll learn, wow, is that the way I talk to myself? Is that the way I allow others to talk to me? Is that how I live my life? So in terms of how to get out of your own way, one of the first things that I suggest to us, my friends, is to learn how to talk back to yourself, especially when you hear something negative coming out of your mouth to you and about you. Because we model for others how to talk to us when they see how we talk to ourselves. Yes, we do. We model for others how they can talk to us when they see and hear how we talk to ourselves. So that's what I would suggest. Talk back to yourself. Talk back to yourself. And then here's another one. And this truly comes from my experience. I didn't have to read any literature. I didn't have to make any observations. This comes from my experience. Stop comparing yourself to frauds. I wish I could tell young people that. I wish I could tell old people. I wish I could just tell people that stop comparing yourself to frauds. Many times we compare ourselves to people who only show us one facet of who they are. We compare ourselves with people who really don't show us the whole person that they are. They show us one facet, and that's who we compare ourselves to. Stop doing that. Because there is so much more to people than the houses they live in, the cars they drive, the clothes they wear, the places they work. There is so much more to people than that, and that is what we compare ourselves to so many times. What about the peace of mind that they have? What about the kinds of relationships they have with their families and their loved ones? What about stuff like that? Let's learn. What about their abilities to have self-appreciation and self-value? Show me more about who you are than what you drive, where you live, what you wear, what you work. Show me more about you than that. And maybe I'll compare myself to you. How do you get along with your friends? How does your family get along with you? Do you have peace of mind? Can you put your head on the pillow and sleep at night? Do you have a conscience? Are you concerned about how you treat people? What does your integrity look like? Your character look like? That's what I need to compare myself to. Because the truth of the matter is, I am not in a race with anyone else but me. I'm in a race with me only. And you're right, Tracy. So many times people model themselves after celebrities. They got a whole staff to make them look the way they look. They got a whole staff to go out and buy their clothes, a whole staff to sometimes select and buy their house and furnish their homes, a whole staff to work on their hair, their face, their wardrobe, and all of that kind of stuff, a whole staff to manage their money. But what do their hearts look like? What does their integrity look like? What does their character look like? Stop modeling yourself after all of these celebrities. Do you know how many celebrities die by suicide? Do you know how many celebrities are depressed? Do you know how many celebrities are unhappy? Y'all, We compare ourselves with frauds. There's this show, I can't think of the show, but some show that's on TV, and people try to guess who it is behind when they see the persona. They see this profile, and a lot of what is this young term? What is this term that young people use in these days? It's oh my goodness, uh, catfishing. Catfishing. So people are not really themselves. They pretend to be somebody else. And so what are they? They're called a catfish because they are not really who they claim to be. Sometimes we are comparing ourselves to catfishes. People who are hiding behind personas, people who are hiding behind screens, people who are hiding behind shields of who they want the world to think that they are. Let's stop comparing ourselves to frauds. Got to say that. Stop racing with everybody else and learn how to race with you. Because guess what? When you show up in the winning circle, you are with yourself. If you show up in last place, guess what? Nobody beat you but you. And you are there with yourself to say, you know what? Let's do it again. I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. That's like, I got to keep going, but I'm so serious about this, you all. We get in our own ways. And what a sad life it would be for us to live so long and realize there were so many things I could have done, so many things I could have achieved, so many things I could have accomplished, so many things I wish I would have done, but I kept getting in my own way. I'm talking to us who have those kinds of thoughts, who said, I wish I could go back. I wish I can go back and turn back the hands of times. I wish I could, but guess what? We can't. So what am I suggesting? Let's get it right now. Y'all know one of my books, we don't always get it right the first time. Let's get it right now. Let's model for other people how to get it right. Stop getting in your own way. Get out of your own way. So not only would I suggest that we talk back to ourselves when we hear negative talk, not only would I suggest that we stop comparing ourselves to frauds, but I would also suggest that we don't excuse our own bad behavior. You all know sometimes our conversations are inspiring, sometimes our conversations are motivating, and sometimes our conversations are challenging. I think this challenges me every time I hear it. Don't excuse, Cutler, your own bad behavior. And I'm not talking about bad behavior in terms of how I treat other people. I'm talking about bad behavior in terms of how we treat ourselves. Sometimes we indulge in things that can be so counterproductive, things that can be so against the grain of where we're trying to go. We sometimes indulge in those things. And guess what we sometimes do, you all? We sometimes excuse it. We say things like, oh, well, I didn't do it because I was tired. Or I acted like that because I was stressed out. Or I didn't do this, or I did that, or acted the way I did because I didn't know what I was doing. And you all know me, I'm all about self-care. I'm all about self-love. So I am not saying to beat yourself up, and I'm not saying not to forgive yourself for mistakes. I'm not saying that. I believe in forgiving yourself for mistakes and for shortcomings and for slip-ups. But hear this, you all. I am saying hold yourself accountable to yourself the same way you would hold others accountable. Let's hold ourselves accountable to ourselves the same way we would hold other people accountable. Cutler, what do you mean? Do you have an example? You all know I do. I'm not sitting here in this chair without examples tonight because I've learned to have these kinds of conversations with myself. I've learned how to tell myself, Cutler, stop excusing your bad behavior. Stop excusing some of your shortcomings when you know you can do something about it. Stop excusing things and calling it a mistake when it was not necessarily a mistake, but it was an intentional overlook. Stop indulging in things that you know, Cutler, that means you know good. And saying things like, well, listen, I didn't have enough time to do X, Y, and Z. Many times when we say things like, I didn't have enough time, how can that be rectified? Get up earlier. Tracy, yes, right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. That is true. You check yourself before you wreck yourself. Many times nobody is wrecking us. If I can just work with that. Nobody is wrecking our lives but us. We are wrecking our lives because we didn't check our own lives. I've said on this platform so many times, nobody has the ability, nobody has the capacity, nobody has the power to ruin your day except for the one who runs your day. And the only two people who run your day are you and God. And I don't think God is in the ruining days business. So let's make sure that we don't excuse our bad behavior. Let's do what's necessary to be productive in our own lives. Let's participate in our own successes. Let's participate in our own victories. When you say things like I didn't have enough time, get up earlier. When you say things like I had too much to do, reprioritize. Perhaps it's about taking some things off the list today. I had too much to do. Take some of the stuff off the list, because it is true. Sometimes we can overload our own schedules. And what should we do? Check ourselves. That should come off the list today. And if I didn't have enough time, get up earlier tomorrow. And if I get up earlier and I still had too much to do, take stuff off the list, reprioritize. Don't get stuck. Let's just do something about the things that we can. And I think coming in right after that, I would suggest that when you're mentally stuck, when you're mentally drained, when you're mentally fatigued, MV, you are reading my mind. When you are mentally stuck, mentally drained, mentally fatigued, find healthy distractions. Find another way. If one way does not work, thank you, MV, find another way. I don't know about you all, but have you ever had those moments when you were trying to consider some options? Maybe you were trying to solve a problem, you were trying to reach a resolution, but you kept coming back to the same decision. And you found out that doing it that way didn't work. That train of thought, that way of thinking, it just didn't work. You kept coming around the same mountain and coming to the same stop. Y'all know I'm from the country, so I'm gonna come up with those sayings. Kept going around the same mountain and ending up at the same stop because you were thinking the same way and you were stuck in your thoughts. And then you become mentally drained, mentally fatigued, just mentally tired and worn out. Find another way. Or find a healthy distraction. Cutler, what do you mean by a healthy distraction? Sometimes we end up with mental blocks. Have you all ever had mental blocks? You keep thinking the same way. You keep approaching the problem and you keep thinking the same way, trying to reach a resolution, thinking the same way. Am I just talking about myself? Maybe this is just me telling on myself. Same way of thinking, and you can't get yourself together. You're stuck there, you're fatigued, and you're drained and you're worn out. Find a healthy distraction. One TV show, I forgot the name of the TV show, but phone a friend. Do something different. Create a healthy distraction. Cutler, what's healthy? It's healthy if it works for you. You decide what's healthy for you. Let me find a healthy distraction, something that's not going to take me outside of my purpose, something that's not going to throw me off course. That's a healthy distraction, something that's going to try to reroute me and redirect me back to my goal, back to my purpose, back to my calling, back to my destiny. A healthy distraction. So I say phone a friend. I didn't say just call somebody to just gossip and do all that kind of stuff with, but phone a friend and say, listen, you know what? Can I bounce something off you right now? I'm stuck in my thinking, and I need to see some options here. That's what I call. That's what it was. That's what it was. Thank you, Tracy. Who wants to be a millionaire had to phone a friend. That's right. You're trying to make a decision and you can't quite see the options and the alternatives. Phone a friend, somebody that you know, like I said in our last conversation, not somebody who means you no good, but somebody who you know has your best interest at heart. Those are people that I call healthy distractions because they're not going to let me linger and be lost. And then what else would I suggest? Stop kicking the can. Some children used to have this game of kick the can. I don't say kick the can, but kick the can't. CAN apostrophe T. Stop kicking the can and kick the can't. Because every time, it's just my experience, every time you say, I can't, you give yourself a reason why not to even try in the first place. So many times, and you all say, I'm holding on to this chair because this has been the experience of my life. So many times we say, I can't. And what does that do? That automatically puts up a wall, it puts up a block, and it gives me a reason not to even try in the first place. Don't kick the can, T. Cutler, but kick the can't. Somebody coined the phrase that we need to remove can't from our vocabulary. I don't know that that's true, but what I will say is this. In terms of I can't, kick that right out of your life. Because it gives us a license to not even try in the first place. And we want to at least try. I want to try to be good. I want to try to be great. I want to try to be successful. I want to try to be a winner. I want to try to reach my goal. I want to try to walk in purpose. I want to try to reach my destiny. I want to try all of that. And how do I set myself up for being able to try? I kick the can't out of my life. And I don't allow other people to bring it back in once I've kicked it out and shut the door. Don't tell me what I can't do. Tell me what I can do. Tell me what I'm capable of being, what I'm capable of becoming, what I'm capable of succeeding at, what I'm capable of winning at. That's what I need to know. I'm passionate about this, you all. I so believe this with my whole heart. And then just one final one, if I may share this one, in terms of how to get out of our own way. I call this connecting with the right sculptors and the right artists. Learn how to connect with the right sculptors and the right artists. Cutler, why do you say that? I say it because you are being shaped, you're being sculpted, you're being influenced, you're being impacted by people that you hang around every day. They're the ones, they're the ones with their paintbrushes influencing your campus. They're the ones with their hands shaping and molding who we turn out to be. Yes, I know that we're wonderfully and created and fearfully made in the image of this wonderful creator. But in terms of other people who have an effect on us, I call them sculptors and artists as well. We hear so many times, you are what you eat, but you also are who you hang around every day consistently. In the same way that you are having an impact and an influence on somebody else's life, somebody is having an impact and an influence on your life. And if anybody is going to have an impact or an influence on my life, I am going to make sure that I connect with the right sculptors, that I connect with the right artists. I connect with the people who are going to help me paint the picture of my life that I'm trying to paint. I'm going to connect with the people who are shaping and molding my life the way that I want it to turn out, because I want it to turn out the same way God wants it to turn out. So I'm going to make sure that the people that I choose in my life, the sculptors and the artists that I choose in my life, are people like Michelangelo and Van Gogh and Rodin. Those are the people who will help me to become the masterpiece that I've already been created to be. May I tell you, you are not a masterpiece in the making. Good God Almighty. But you are a masterpiece in the unveiling. I've already, when I was called to this earth, I was masterfully and wonderfully and fearfully made, just like the Creator intended for me to be made. I am not a masterpiece in the making, but I'm a masterpiece in the unveiling. And I need to make sure that people, as they are unveiling me, they're unveiling me according to the same purpose of which I was designed. Y'all know I got to get out of here. I love these 1800 seconds that we spend together. I've just been doing so much reflecting these days. You know, maybe it is as the seasons change that we really do think about what I want to do next, and how do I really show up better. I mean this from my heart, you all. I really want to show up better every day. And I want to make sure that I'm not my own worst enemy. I want to make sure that I'm not my biggest saboteur. I want to make sure that I'm not in my own head. I want to make sure that I get out of my way. And why do I share this with you all? Because there are many times when I've been in my way. Many times when I've been my worst enemy. And guess what we will do sometimes? I got to get out of here when I say this. Guess what we will do? We will sometimes engage in suicidal behavior. But then we'll show up in such a way. We'll show up in such a way until we then want to look like victims because we don't want people to know that we are working to commit suicide. I'm killing my own hopes. I'm killing my own dreams. But then I behave in such a way until it looks like somebody else is doing it. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I empower us. My offering to us tonight is the power to look at ourselves in a real way and decide that we have the strength to get out of our own way. You all, thank you so much for spending these 1800 seconds with me. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep building community. Invite people to these conversations. Let's maintain connectivity. I love when we log in, we check in with each other, we start chatting. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up and keep your hopes up. Hope in God and hope in yourselves. Have expectations about your future. Have expectations about what you're going to do tomorrow. Not just meandering, but I have expectations about tomorrow. Stay safe, stay sane. Please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I'll see you all the next time. Good night, everybody.